Hello dear children, this is the second class of Amnesty. In the first class, I've introduced you the author Nadine Gordimer, South African writer, Nobel Prize winner. And I introduced you Amnesty, the work. We got into the text and we saw the fiancé of the narrator got imprisoned for 6 years, and the narrator and his parents tried to visit him in Robben Island, but they didn't have the police permit with them and he was denied entry to the ferry. Now, today, we'll just check in the text what is going to happen. That's what it seemed to me when I heard. The 5 years were suddenly disappeared. Nothing. There was no whole year still to wait. So he was sentenced for 6 years and he's coming home after 5 years. And the 5 years were suddenly disappeared. And what was left in her life? Nothing. A hollow, a big hollow. 5 years without any support. She has to take care of his mother, and she has to take care of his father, brother. She has to take care of their daughter too, without any support, without any emotional support. There was no whole year still to wait. I showed our little girl his photo again. The girl has also grown up. That's your daddy, he's coming, you're going to see him. She told the other children at school, I've got a daddy, just as she showed off about the kid goat she had at home. She was just talking to her friends and said, yes, I got a daddy, see, my daddy is coming. But as enthusiastic like she was talking about the kid goat which she had at home. We wanted him to come at once, and at the same time we wanted time to prepare. His mother lived with one of his uncles. Now that his father was dead, there was no house of his father for him to take me to as soon as we married. So they were not married yet. His father was dead already, and there was no house of his father. They didn't had a house. So after their marriage, he doesn't have a house to take her. And she's saying that if there had been time left, my father would have cut poles, my mother and I would have baked bricks, cut thatch and built a house for him and me and the child. So they belong to a tribal society, they know how to make a house. So if they had enough time with them, they would have they would have made their homes by themselves. It shows their self-sufficiency. The people can live without the support of other laborers, but in white people cannot live by their own. We can say like that, right? They're not self-sufficient enough. They make these black people to work for them. So these people can build a house by their own. They're self-sufficient. We are not sure what day he would arrive, because those days they hadn't got enough communication things. We only heard on radio his name and the names of others who were released. Through radio, communications were there, and through that they came to know he will be released from jail. Then at the Indian store, I noticed the newspaper The Nation, written by black people, and on the front a picture of a lot of people dancing and waving. I saw at once it was at that ferry. She understood that it was in that ferry the picture was taken, where a lot of people were dancing and waving. Some men were being carried on other men's shoulders. Naturally, it would be the prisoners who were released. I couldn't see which one was him. She couldn't recognize which one was him. We were waiting. It was the photographs of the prisoners who were released from the jail. The ferry had brought him from the island, but we remembered Cape Town is a long way from us. So she remembers that Robben Island is very much distant from Cape Town, that they had to take a ferry to Robben Island, and it is almost 14 to 15 kilometers they have to travel in the ferry to go to the island. And Cape Town is very distant from their place. They are living in the village. Then he did come. He came. On a Saturday, she came, and there was no school. She was a teacher, and it was a Saturday, so she was at home. She was working with her mother, hoeing and weeding around the pumpkins and mealies. Hoeing, you can see the picture of a hoe here, which is used in the garden. She was hoeing and she was weeding. Weeding means it is removing unwanted plants. So നമ്മൾ പുല്ല് പറിക്കാന്നൊക്കെ പറയില്ലേ, ഈ ചെടികളുടെ അടുത്തുനിന്ന് പുല്ല് പറിക്കാന്ന് പറയുന്നില്ലേ, അത് തന്നെ. Removing unwanted plants round the pumpkins and mealies. Mealies I saw it as corn. നമ്മുടെ corn ആണെന്നാണ് mealies എന്ന് വെച്ചാൽ corn ആണെന്നാണ് ഉള്ള information. And my hair that I meant to keep nice because her husband was coming. അപ്പോൾ it is meant to keep it nice. She has to be good looking in front of her husband, അല്ലേ? അങ്ങനെയാണ് ട്രഡീഷണലി പറയുന്നത്. Women should be good looking always. Women should be attractive always. അതിനൊക്കെയുള്ള ഒരു അഗെയിൻസ്റ്റ് ആയിട്ടുള്ള ഒരു കുഞ്ഞു കുഞ്ഞു ക്രിറ്റിസിസംസ് ആണ് പറയുന്നത്. എപ്പോഴും സ്ത്രീകൾ പണിയെടുക്കുന്ന കൂട്ടത്തിലായിരിക്കാം, കാരണം അവരുടെ സർക്കംസ്റ്റാൻസസ് അങ്ങനെയായിരുന്നു. അപ്പോൾ ആ സമയത്തും ബ്യൂട്ടിഫുൾ ആയിട്ടിരിക്കണം എന്നുള്ള ആ ഒരു ഇതിന് അഗെയിൻസ്റ്റ് ആയിട്ടുള്ളൊരു റീഡിംഗ് ആണെന്ന് നമുക്ക് പറയാൻ പറ്റും. ഷി കനോട്ട് ബി ഓൾവേസ് ബ്യൂട്ടിഫുൾ, അല്ലേ? ദാറ്റ് ഐ മെൻ ടു കീപ്പ് ഇറ്റ് നൈസ്, ടൈഡ് ഇൻ ആൻ ഓൾഡ് ഡക്ക്. ഹസ്ബൻഡ് വരുമ്പോൾ എപ്പോഴും ഭംഗിയിൽ നിൽക്കണം എന്ന് വിചാരിച്ചു, ബട്ട് പറ്റിയില്ല. യു ക്യാൻ സീ ദ പിക്ചർ ഓഫ് എ ഡോഗ് ഹിയർ. ദ വുമൻ ഹാസ് തലയിൽ മുടി ടൈ ചെയ്ത് വെക്കാനായിട്ടുള്ള ഒരു സ്കാർഫ് പോലത്തെ ഒരു ക്ലോത്ത് ആണത്. A combi came over the veld and his comrades had brought him. You can see the picture of combi. പണ്ടത്തെ നമ്മൾ ഇടയ്ക്കിടയ്ക്ക് പണ്ടൊക്കെ സ്ഥിരം കണ്ടുകൊണ്ടിരുന്ന ഒരു വാഹനമാണ്, അല്ലേ? നമ്മളിത് തന്നെ കൂടെ അഞ്ജലി മേനൻ്റെ കൂടെ ഫിലിമിൽ നമ്മളിത് കണ്ടിരുന്നു, അല്ലേ? കുറേ നാളുകൾക്ക് ശേഷമാണ് ഒരു സിനിമയിൽ ഇതിൻ്റെ പ്രസൻസ് നമ്മൾ കാണുന്നത്, കോംബി. And Combi came over the veld. Veld, you can see the grassland. You can see the grassland here. Open, uncultivated grassland ആണ്. Then Combi came over the veld and his comrades had brought him. I wanted to run away and wash. I wanted to look tidy. But he stood there stretching his legs, calling, hey, hey, with his comrades making a noise around him. He was excited to meet his wife, to meet his lover and daughter. And my mother started shrieking. That was making a high-pitched cry in the old style. Hey! And my father was clapping and stamping towards him. He held his arms open to us. He was going to hug. This big man in town clothes, polished shoes. He was good looking. And all the time while he hugged me, I was holding my dirty hands full of mud away from him behind his back. She was really ashamed to show her dirty hands. She just hid it. His teeth hit me hard through his lips. He grabbed at my mother, and she struggled to hold the girl child up to him. I thought we would all fall down out of excitement, out of love. Then everyone was quiet. The child hid behind my mother. Child was a bit afraid. He picked her up, but she turned her head away to her shoulder. She was scared, little girl. It's the first time, right? She's seeing her father. He spoke to her gently, in a cool, small, gently way she spoke. But she wouldn't speak to him. She was afraid. She's nearly 6 years old. I told her not to be a baby. Don't cry, be a girl. She said, that's not him, that's not him, that's not my daddy, like that. The comrades all laughed. We laughed. She ran off, and he said, she has to have time to get used to me. And he knows. He's a very practical person. She has to have time to get used to me. It's okay.
Okay, you can see the picture of a prison, Robben Island, and the prison inside, prison and the Robben Island. Here prisoners are all working. Okay, he has put on weight. Yes, a lot. You couldn't believe it. He used to be so thin, his feet looked too big for him. I used to feel his bones, but now he was a very thin person earlier, 5 years back. But now, that night when he lay on me, he was so heavy. He became a heavy person. I didn't remember it was like that. Such a long time. 5 to 6 years back, 5 years back, he was a thin person. It's strange it gets stronger in prison. How can she's just thinking, how can a person become so strong in prison? I thought he wouldn't have enough to eat in prison and will come out of weak from the prison. Everyone said, look at him, he's a man now, a big man with full muscles and all. He laughed and banged his fist on his chest. See, fist. And banged his fist on the chest. Told them how the comrades exercised in their cells. Comrades did their exercises in their cells. They were so disciplined. He would run 3 miles a day, stepping up and down on one place on the floor of that small cell where he was kept. He was conscious about his body. They were not ignorant. They were not ignorant people. After we were together at night, we used to whisper a long time, but now I can feel he's thinking of some things I don't know, and I can't worry him with talk. Even though they are together now, he's not much interested to talk to her. He's thinking of some other things. He's not thinking of her emotional status, right? Very bad. After we were together, at night we used to whisper a long time. We used to share tiny things. But now I can feel he's thinking of some things, maybe about his nation, about apartheid laws, about wages, about their farmlands, and all. I don't know, and I can't worry him with talk. Also, I don't know what to say. How can she say she is a matured woman? She doesn't want to disturb him. What else happened? No, I missed somewhere. And also don't know what to say. To ask him what it was like 5 years shut away there. She really wanted to know how his life 5 years in the prison, or to tell him something about my school. And she really wanted to talk to him about her school or about the child. She really wants to share. What else has happened here? She's thinking, what happened here? Nothing. She was just waiting for his return. Sometimes in the daytime, I do try to tell him what it was like for me here at home on the farm 5 years. It was nothing in her life, right? No emotional support. The care that she gets from her husband is very different from the familial love around them. Or the care, not even to the husband, you can say the love that shares between a couple, husband to wife or wife to husband. It is really different from that, the love which is shared among the family members. It's special. But she has to talk a lot, but he's not interested. Her emotional, she's really affected by that. He listens, he's interested. Just like he's interested when people from the other farms come to visit and talk to him about little things that happened to them while he was away all the time on the island. He's interested in a way that when other people come to him and speak about the things that happened at that time, he's interested to like that only, like other people from other farms. He smiles and nods, asks a couple of questions, and then stands up and stretches. He smiles, he nods, that's it. He's busy with some other things. He's busy with the nation. He's busy with the politics. I see it is to show them it is enough. By stretching and by standing up, it is the symbol. Yeah, it is enough for now. His mind is going back to something he was busy with before they came. And we farm people are very slow. We tell things slowly. He used to too. He's not concerned about his wife, right? She's emotionally upset because of his behavior, but he's concerned about many other things. He hasn't signed on for another job, but he can't stay at home with us. He doesn't get any other job, but he's not at home. He's busy. We thought, after 5 years over there in the middle of that green and blue sea in the island so far, he would rest with us a little while. We thought he'll be spending his life with his family for some time at least. The compy or some car comes to fetch him, and he says, "Don't worry, I don't know what day I'll be back." He's just telling, "I don't know which day I'll be back. I'm going now." At first I asked, "When will you come back? What week? Next week you'll be coming?" He tried to explain to me and he said like this, "In the movement, it's not like that. It was in the union that he was working, and they were actually conducting strikes. But it is the movement. It is not like union where you do your work every day in the union, in the construction company, and after that you are busy with meetings with union. But in the movement, you never know where you will have to go and what is going to come up next. But in movements, they don't know when it is going to when what is going to happen next. There was a free South Africa movement that was to end apartheid in South Africa. Apartheid, I told you about apartheid in the last class. So to end apartheid, there was free South Africa movement, and he was in the movement. But in movement, as it is a long process, he doesn't know that when he will come back. See, many people fought for that. Then only South Africa was freed from that apartheid. So many men were part of the movement. So many women were affected physically and emotionally. Then, and the same with money. In the movement, it is not like a job with regular pay. In the movement, they don't have regular pay. I know that. He doesn't have to tell me. She knows that she's educated and she knows that. It's like it was going to the island. You do it for all our people who suffer because we haven't got money, we haven't got land. Now, in the coming sentences, we are going to see the racism, we are going to see the apartheid, we're going to see the racism that existed in South Africa between whites and black, or concerning about the race, white people, black people. We haven't got land, we haven't got money, only a few money, only very less wages were given to people, and they were not allowed to possess lands. Whites owned lands, and these people were working in their lands. He said, speaking of my parents, my home, the home that has been waiting for him with his child. Look at this place. He started speaking about the home. Look at this place where the white man owns the ground and lets you squat in mud. They can have ground, they can have land, but you are not supposed to have land. And tin huts here only as you work for him. And you can make only tin huts. Only if you work, if those people can work for white people. Baba and your brother planting his crops and looking after his cattle. People can work in his land and looking after his cattle, and mama cleaning his house and you in the school without even having the chance to train properly as a teacher. These are the problems. They have to work in the boar's land, and the education system was very bad, and she was trained as a teacher, but it was not a good training at all. The farmer owns us, he says. The farmer, the Boer people owns us, he says. I've been thinking we haven't got a home because there wasn't time to build a house before he came from the land. She's just thinking, she's the narrator, she's just thinking they don't have a house. She was thinking that they didn't get time to build a house, but it's not like that. They actually don't have any home at all. Now I have understood that. I'm not stupid. When the comrades come to this place and they compete to talk to him here, I don't go away with my mother after we have brought them tea, or if she's made it for the weekend, beer. When comrades come to their place to talk, she doesn't go away. She just sits there. They like beer, comrades, those friends, his friends like beer. They talk about African culture, and there is one of them who makes a point of putting his arm around my mother, calling her the mama of all of them, old lady, mama of all of them, the mama of Africa, respecting the woman. Sometimes they please her very much by telling her how they used to sing on the island and getting her to sing an old song we all know from our grandmothers. You can see how the people how the people take care of each other in the tribal societies or in the African societies, the love for one another, the concern for one another. Even they belong to a society, community feeling. Some then they join in with their strong voices. Grandmother sings and they join. My father doesn't like this noise traveling across the world. Why? What happened? Why they don't like? Why her father doesn't like? He's afraid that if the Boer finds out my man is a political from the island, he got just he got freed from the island and he is holding meetings again on the Boer's land, he will tell my father to go. The white person will tell them to go from that land and take his family with him, so they will not be getting enough space, or they cannot live then, because they are just asked to go away from that land, so they cannot farm, they cannot look after the cattle, they cannot um, do their job, and they cannot get the minimum money which was getting before. But my brother says if the Boer asks anything, just tell him it's a prayer meeting. These people, comrades, came here for a prayer meeting. You tell like that. Then the singing is over. My mother knows she must go away into the house. So singing is over. After that, she has to go inside the house. And if the Boer man in that land they are sitting, and when he comes to know about the political meetings in the home of the our narrator's father, then definitely the Boer will ask to leave the place and to take his family with him. So he will lose livelihood and his house to stay. They have little small huts and he will be losing that too. So the father was really against the political meetings in their place. I stay and listen. He forgets I am there, but she says she is an educated person. She'll stay and listen their meeting. He forgets I am there when he's talking and urging about something I can see is important. He's talking of important things. They are in the movement, don't forget that. More important than anything we could ever have to say to each other when we are alone. She's feeling that that is important. He's talking about the important matters, which is far more important than their small whisperings. Her feeling is really, she really felt bad, or she really got hurt by his behavior. He is concerned about the nation, but she is concerned about her life. But actually, we don't have to criticize the man also. These people actually led the movement, and these people actually ended the apartheid in Africa. For that, many women have sacrificed their lives. Yes, but now and then, when one of the other comrades is speaking, I see him look at me for a moment the way I will look up at one of my favorite children in school to encourage the child to understand. So at once I saw, so she's saying that she saw that he's looking at her for just a moment. For that moment, it means she wants to understand. The man is thinking that she wants to understand about the matter the other person is speaking of. ഒരാൾ എന്താ പറയണെന്ന് പെൺകുട്ടി മനസ്സിലാക്കണം എന്നുള്ള രീതിയിലാണ് ആ ആള് നോക്കിക്കൊണ്ടിരുന്നത്. നമ്മുടെ പ്രോട്ടഗണിസ്റ്റിന് ഒരു പേരില്ലാത്തത് കഷ്ടമായി പോയല്ലേ. വൈ? ബിക്കോസ് ദർ ഇസ് നോ നെയിം. ഒരുപാട് പേരുണ്ട്, എൻലെസ് പീപ്പിൾ ആണ്, ആൾക്കാരാണ് ഈ ഒരു മൂവ്മെന്റിൽ ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നത്. മേ ബി ദാറ്റ് ഇസ് വൈ ദർ ഇസ് നോ നെയിം ഫോർ ദ പ്രോട്ടഗണിസ്റ്റ്. ഒരാളല്ല, ഈ മാൻ റിപ്രസെന്റ്സ് എ ലോട്ട് ഓഫ് പീപ്പിൾ, മില്യൺസ്. അതുകൊണ്ടായിരിക്കാം. The men don't speak to me and I don't speak. One of the things they talk about is organizing the people on the farms, the workers, like my father, brother, and like his parents used to be. I learned what all these things are, why the people should be organized. They have to speak on minimum wage, limitation of working hours. Maybe they have to work 13, 14 hours a day, and they have to limit that working hours. And the people need the right to strike in the construction companies or the wherever people are working. They need the right to strike. Annual leave should be provided for these people. So all these things are denied for black people in apartheid Africa. All these things are denied for people. There is no minimum wage. People, they need to work according to what the other people say, and they cannot go for the strike. See, when he went for a strike and asked about when other persons got terminated, he asked why they were terminated, and since he's an active member of union, he got arrested and put in prison, right? So they need the right to strike, they need annual leave, they need accident compensation, they need pensions, they need sick and even maternity leave. So women were also working without any leaves. Up in the farm school ആണെങ്കിൽ തന്നെ maternity leave ഒന്നും ഉണ്ടാവില്ല. See, I am pregnant. At last, I have another child inside me. But that is women's business. അല്ലേ? She's concerned like that. അപ്പോൾ ആളിതൊന്നും അന്വേഷിക്കാറ് പോലുമില്ല. He's not concerned about a child inside her. Very bad. We are getting hurt, right? When they talk about the big man, the old men, I know who these are. He's talking about narrator, our author is giving the details of big man, the old man. Those are the slangs used in Africa for political leaders. For political leaders, they have used these names: big man, old man. I know who these are. Our leaders are also back from prison, like leaders like Nelson Mandela. Our leaders are also back from prison. I told him about the child coming. I told him about the child coming. And he said, and this one belongs to a new country. He will build the freedom we have fought for. He will enjoy the freedom. അതാണ് ആ റെസ്പോൺസ് ഉണ്ടായത്. അല്ലാണ്ട് ആ സ്ത്രീയുടെ എക്സൈറ്റ്മെൻറ്റോ ആ സ്ത്രീയിൽ അവരുടെ ഫാമിലിയിൽ ഒരു മെമ്പർ കൂടി ആഡ് ആവുന്നതിൻ്റെ സന്തോഷമോ ഒരു എമോഷണൽ ഒരു സന്തോഷമോ ഒന്നും അല്ല ആൾക്കുണ്ടായിരുന്നത്. ഹി വാസ് കൺസേൺഡ് വിത്ത് ദി ഫ്രീഡം. ഹി വാസ് കൺസേൺഡ് വിത്ത് the African country, and he was telling The child belongs to the new country. He'll build the freedom we have fought for. He'll enjoy the freedom that we have fought for. I know he wants to get married, but there is no time for that at present. There was hardly time for him to make the child. He comes to me just like he comes here to eat a meal or put on clean clothes. No familial connection he's holding. He picks up the little girl, swings her round and there. It's done. He's getting into the compy. He's already turning to his comrade. That face of his, he became a comrade. That face of his that knows only what is inside his head, those eyes that move quickly as if he is chasing something you can't see. The little girl hasn't had time to get used to this man. No relationship exists between the father and daughter because he's busy. But I know she'll be proud of him one day. She'll be more proud of him one day because the man has fought for the country. How can you tell that to a 6 years child old? But I tell her about the big man, the political leaders, so she'll know that her father was with them on the island. Father also spent time with them on the island. So father was with these people. So definitely he will be influenced by these people. Earlier he was in the union. He was raising voice for the people out there. Then he became imprisoned and there he met other leaders, big political leaders. Then naturally he'll be encouraged to work more for the South Africa. He'll be encouraged to fight against apartheid in a larger extent. On Saturday, no school, and I plant and weed with my mother. She sings, but I don't, I think. On Sunday, there is no work, only prayer meetings out of the farmer's way under the trees, and beer drinks at the mud and tin huts where the farmers allow us to squat on their land. I go off on my own as I used to do when I was child, making up games and talking to myself where no one would hear me or look for me.
So on Sunday there is no work, only prayer meetings out of the farmer's way. So that is not actually prayer meeting, but those are the meetings of the comrades about the movement. Farmer's way under the trees and beer drinks at the mud and tin huts where the farmers allow us to squat on their land. Farmers, that means Boer people, allow them, black people, to use their land or occupy their land, which actually don't belong to them. So they can use Boer's land, occupy their land. I go often I go off on my own as I used to do when I was a child, making up games and talking to myself, where no one would hear me or look for me. I sit on a warm stone on that land in the late afternoon, high up in a place so she can see the whole valley. And the whole valley she can see that goes in a path between the hills, and that path leading away from her feet. It is the Boer's farm that she is seeing, but that is not true. It belongs to nobody. They claim it is their land, but actually it doesn't belong to them and it belongs to nobody. The cattle don't know that anyone says he owns it. Cattle also belong to anybody, but the Boers or the white people claims it is their cattle. The sheep, they are grey stones and then they become a thick grey snake moving, don't know. When she is watching the place from above, she can see the sheep, the flock, they are moving like grey snake in a group, in a flock. Our huts and the old mulberry tree she can see from there, and the little brown mat of earth that my mother dug over yesterday, way down there she can see. And what all things she can see from there, and way over there the clump of trees round the chimneys,
Clump of trees means group of trees only growing together. She's sitting on top there, so that she can see all those things. She can see the clump of trees round the chimneys, and the shiny thing, that is what she can see from that elevated side, is she could see trees, clump of trees, or she could see farm, cattle, sheep like grey stones, then hut, then old mulberry tree, and she can see clump of trees and round the chimneys, and she could see the TV mast of the farmhouse, antennas of the earlier time, where we used to have only Doordarshans. I think it was popular in 90s till 2000. It was popular, and that is the TV must of the farmhouse. Antennas they could see, and they are nothing on the back of this earth. Considering Earth or about its features, these things are nothing for it. It could twitch them away like a dog fly does a fly. The earth, with its just a movement, with its quakes, it can just take them away. It will scatter, it will shatter by its own way. How, like a dog does a fly. How a dog keeps away the fly, the earth can, with its sudden movement, can scatter all these things that belongs to the white people, which they claim. Actually it is not theirs, actually it is nobody's. These black people have the authority to live there. They can claim their land, but it is forbidden for them because it is apartheid, new laws. I'm with the clouds. The sun behind me is changing. The colors of the sky and the clouds are changing themselves slowly, slowly. So it is getting time. Sun behind me is changing. Colors are changing. Clouds are changing. One is the natural phenomena of changes happening in a day to an evening. Another meaning is that everything is undergoing change. So tomorrow South Africa will also change. These people's life will also change. They can get lands. They can be the owners of their land. Some are pink, some are white, swelling like bubbles. So sky or the clouds, some are pink, some are white, swelling like bubbles. Underneath is a bar of gray, not enough to make rain. Underneath there is a cloud, but which cannot make enough rain. It gets longer and darker. It grows a thin snout and long body, describing the cloud. It grows, a cloud is there which grows a thin snout and long body. Snout means the projected nose and mouth of an animal. Pigginte ഒക്കെ മൂക്കിരിക്കുന്നുണ്ടല്ലോ ഇങ്ങനെ പ്രൊജക്ട് ചെയ്തിരിക്കുന്ന പോലെ, like protruded അങ്ങനെ. That's what it means. It gets longer and darker. The cloud gets longer and darker. It grows a thin snout and long body, and then the end of it is a tail. Cloudiniയാണ് പറയുന്നത്. There is a huge grey rat moving across the sky. We often see in the sky, പല പല ഷേപ്സ് നമുക്ക് ക്ലൗഡ്സിൽ നിന്ന് മനസ്സിലാക്കാൻ പറ്റും. ചില ക്ലൗഡ്സ് കണ്ടാൽ ചിലപ്പോൾ ലയണിനെ പോലൊക്കെ ഇരിക്കും, ചിലപ്പോൾ ഒരാളുടെ ഫേസ് പോലെയൊക്കെ തോന്നുന്ന ക്ലൗഡ്സ് നമുക്ക് തന്നെ തോന്നാം അല്ലേ. So she's saying that there is a huge grey rat moving across the sky, eating the sky. അതുപോലെ തോന്നുന്ന ഒരു റാറ്റ് പോലെ തോന്നുന്ന ഒരു ക്ലൗഡ് ഉണ്ട്. The child remembered the photo. എന്നുവെച്ചാൽ അച്ഛൻ്റെ മുമ്പത്തെ ഫോട്ടോ അമ്മ കാണിച്ചു കൊടുക്കുമായിരുന്നു. അച്ഛൻ വരാറായപ്പോൾ ഫോട്ടോ കാണിച്ചിട്ട് പറഞ്ഞില്ലേ, യുവർ ഡാഡി ഈസ് കമ്മിങ് എന്നൊക്കെ. She said that is not him, but when he came back he was totally changed. Earlier he was thin, പിന്നെ he became a big strong man. അതുപോലെ ആയിരുന്നു. And she was saying that is not him. I'm sitting here where I came often when he was on the island. I came to get away from the others, to wait by myself. So she is sitting alone where she could find peace. I'm watching the rat. She's watching the clouds. It is losing itself in the sky. Its shape, the shape of the cloud is changing, eating the sky, and I am waiting. So this rat can be, she's talking about the white people or the laws, apartheid laws. this white or Boer people or the apartheid laws are changing, and actually it's eating the entire South Africa. And I am waiting for him to come back. And she's saying that she's waiting for the person, and she is waiting to start a new life. She is waiting to get married, all these things. Waiting, I'm waiting to come back home. She's really waiting to go back to her home. She has hut, which that too, the land is belongs to the Boer, and she's waiting to get a good home where she can own a house, where she can be self, where she can live with freedom. Okay, that is what our work is. And so I think you understood the work now. So certain things I would like to bring into your notice. So in the Boer's land, we told about why the father was against the meetings, because the white man will come and ask father to leave the place as he was conducting meetings. Then they will lose their daily livelihood. So that is why the father denied to stay there to conduct meetings. Then towards the end, and then narrator has a habit of sitting down on a stone, and she is watching the things below her, and she is also thinking about the future. Then being a South African black, then there is no proper home for them, and the land also belongs to the white people, and she's waiting for a time where Africa will be a free country. Okay, then you have to remember the facts that as this story not only speaks about the political terms, but also speaks about the problems of a young woman that she faces in the apartheid time. Her ambitions are really affected. Like she want to be married, and she want to be in a place where she can live with her husband, but it is not happening. At least her marriage is also not happening. We know union activities, he was arrested and he was sent to jail, and she wanted to marry this person and live in her own house, but social equalities were there between white and black, and her dreams were destroyed. And towards the end, the author is not giving us an idea whether they'll be getting married or not, because he's not there, he just went for the movement. And just remember the fact, she tried to go to meet him in prison, but she couldn't because she didn't had a police permit. Then narrator always want freedom of the society. Then the man also wants a freedom for the society, but the young woman, she wants to live with her husband and live with free live live a free life with her husband. That is what she needs, but the man needs freedom for his society. And a woman is thinking that everything that says Boer people owns or the white people owns is actually belongs to nobody, and for earth it is nothing. Everything is nothing on the back of the earth. It can shake everything, it can scatters everything with just a shake. And towards evening, we can see in the climax, towards evening our narrator is waiting for his arrival. Also it indicates she is waiting for the better life where she can go to her home and rest. Then we can see that it shows the whole South African life. It is not about just one woman and man. We can see the lives of millions of people here. And black village life, we came to know about the community feeling, how self-sufficient they are. They can build their own houses, they can farm well, and they can lead a life which does not depend on anybody. And we saw black urban experiences too, how the people went to town and they work there, but only with less wages and all. We saw all these things, and we saw racism is the main theme of the short story. How, because we saw many racist things here, how the people was denied to take land, and how the people um, will make them go from their land to because to conduct, because of conducting several meetings like that. Then you can definitely remember that the entire South Africa was divided according to races, white race and black race. This deep racial division actually affected people a lot. Women were the real victims, we can say, because they were affected emotionally also. They didn't know the actual situation, and even a narrator, educated, still she was ignorant of many things that were happening around her. Then we know the land was owned by whites, and blacks were only working for them. Then the people were denied to raise their voice, because if anybody raised their voice, they was taken to prison and sentenced for long years there. Then we could see the plight of a woman here, but the women who were waiting for their beloved one was very common. The scene was very common in apartheid Africa. They dream for a better future, they dream for a better house, but everything they were expecting to be well and good. And by 1994, apartheid ended in South Africa, and we could see all of Nadine's projects was like a gave was like collection of apartheid memories, and she projected apartheid in many of her works, like Berger's Daughter, July's People. Then we could see the strained sensibilities of white South Africans. Then what we could see is that the work describes like a man's life. We could see the fiance of a narrator, and his decisions changed the whole situation of his family. His decisions was actually good for the country, but it was really bad for his family. It affected his family a lot, and it affected the people around him who were very dear to him. Then we know he returned after 5 years. He got amnesty, he got an official pardon, so he came. But his daughter didn't recognize him, and the narrator finds herself distanced from this man. And also she was carrying a second child towards the end, and that too didn't and that too was not a matter for him. Only thing that was in front of him was the freedom of his country. Okay, and that is what about our whole text amnesties. I think I have discussed all the major factors. Okay, children, so let's meet with another lesson in the next class. Thank you.